Now we're live. Technically, nobody's here, but they're gonna see us on the replay. Let's see. Hang
Yeah,
on.
it's been a ton, even temporal stuff, time things, moving fast, slowdowns. It's been kind of crazy.
To say the
Yeah,
least.
I guess it's live now.
Let,
Notification.
let's talk about that. You got notification. Nobody's in here. Uh, yeah, there's been a lot of weird energy, like suppression. To me, not in a bad way, just from a perspective of there is no dark, there is no light. I mean, this is about neutralizing polarities in a dualistic environment. But yeah, it's been some, almost like antagonistic energy. But through it all, we seem to be coming through, you know, in good shape.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on where we're at currently at this moment, right? If we continue still having a charge and we're still seeing the separation, we're going to see the resistance in us because we are bringing into whole closeness, whatever stories, patternings with other people and connections. And it's really interesting to really hit that space. Um, I don't want you to spit out because I know in my screen I'm morphing in and out, so it looks so tricky.
Go ahead, do what you got to do.
Yeah, so it was really interesting to really feel those spaces as well as where are we at, where how do we hold ourselves accountable, as well as allowing others that space to come to you and have that accountability. Because I've been speaking to one of my really close friends, and we've been talking about how certain people come into our field and come in to clear some space in a like, I'm sorry, I did this. Um, I wasn't in that thought processes where I didn't have awareness of how I was hurting you. Kind of basically summarize the energy of it. And also, there's small bumps along the road where we're hitting personal spaces, specifically with our constellations, our nuclear dynamics of our family. That has been one of those really interesting things. Specifically, we just came off the holidays, and a lot of us that practice or do not practice anything and can see the layers, the overlays that are there. We don't engage. We have somehow dropped that away. And the engagement of it has really, I don't know, really has changed. Everything has really made a different expression in how we express and how we say things as well, and what we take into our field, but also not allow that projection to continue forth. Really, really taking a step back in contemplation and then kind of figure out how do we want to engage that energy. It's a lot of the dance, the how does this feel, and how am I going to respond? And it's been really, really quite interesting because I see it even in the groups that or workshops that I'm in and I participate in, and seeing also family really, really coming to terms and dropping away certain labels, dropping away certain practices, and really, really looking and seeing the programming that we've been fed, and also allowing ourselves to see if we're able to step away from the story. Because there's a lot of stories out there, and the energy and the attachments that we've given it to it, it's it's a space to really reflect and once again take accountability what our role has been, what we have allowed, and find that energy back into ourselves, into wholeness.
Yeah, yeah. It's really taking it's never them, it's always me to a new level. Like almost to the point where you go, in regard to how a person feels about me, um, I've got something to do with that. And not by human standards, but by this multi-dimensionality that's coming in and the all-knowing, whatever you want to call it.
It's really taking a whole different dynamic. It's been really interesting. This We are coming from one wave to another wave to another wave. It's just been a constant thing. Experience a lot of more sensation internally. Like, I was going to sleep once, and it just happened not so long ago, where I heard a switch, a snap, just kind of flick open, and I was already going to sleep and everything else, and then boom, flash, the light I see before me. And the spaces that we're touching as well, and how we're really connecting in our hearts, and how we're really are taking that responsibility and frequency as well in our, and the spaces that we are in also in our dream state. For those that continue practicing and really having the awareness of where they've been, even the small snippets that come through, and also allowing that deep rest that comes in for us when we're just completely taken out. It's really becoming a very interesting space where we're allowing the body to just let us know what it needs and what it desires. And it's really interesting because whenever we come together in those spaces, even with the soul gatherings that we're been in part of, it's really relevant, and I see the connection and the weaving that is going on in other spaces. We're touching similar energies, and we are really, really just going, once again, the eye of the beholder, and taking ourselves accountable, and really, really also witnessing and feeling how something gets presented, feel itself.
Yeah.
Because we've had many stories, and we're learning now that the stories, action. I mean, we have the galactic wars, we have that history, we have those memories that we've clung onto, or past lives in the Akash. But can we really put it up in front of us and just complete it, let it go, and emerge only with the wisdom within us? And are we really that attached to those ideologies and those big names that we pulled through? Can we be done with that? Really, really, it's an introspective, very let's observe that inner contemplation moments that I've been in.
Yeah. It's been a lot of that. You're welcome to do some light language if you want to.
Oh, good. It's just really quite interesting of everything that's happening. This is just impromptu. Definitely yesterday and today, I can really feel the energy.
Yeah.
And I can see that many people are gathering together and connecting. And that says something. It does. And it's really interesting to feel that. It's interesting to see the pattern that's coming up, but also see the it's always very quiet spaces where we're balanced, handling life. It's really, I don't know, it's in space.
Your frequency's breaking up. Take a breath. Take a breath. Take a breath. You said a lot. And I think it's more reflected by the energy coming off the person. It's like this really raw kind of this clarity amongst the chaos kind of thing. And it's weird. The clarity itself is chaos. You know what I mean? But we're getting somewhere, and I really believe, and I'm seeing people starting to say this, that we're going to see the manifestation of all this energetic work that we've done now, not later, now.
Wow, my audio did something trippy.
What happened?
I didn't hear anything you said, but whatever that was, that's just, it needs to be said. That's the thing too. The energy speaks for itself. You can really feel it. And I think that really also gives us more compassion with others and ourselves. There's a lot of very deep introspections, and that central neutral point that we are stepping into, that we've been stepping into, it really is the embodiment more and more of the practice of our 0 point field. However, we are really merging with ourselves, and before connecting or touch bases and everything else, like give me 10 minutes, I was like, oh, perfect, because I was connecting and making sure that I'm really, really feeling that space, and I can also feel your energy come in. It's just like, okay, it's a go. And the connections with people, it goes into also the telepathic conversations that happen in the nonverbal with Soul Family.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
And I think there's
really
been
connections that are.
Are you here?
Go ahead.
No, it cut out. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. God, what were you talking about? Hang on. Damn, I can't remember now. I didn't know I interrupted you.
Oh, you know me. Sometimes I talk and then it's just like, oop, there it goes. That's
No,
it.
was the frequency. It was the internet signal. Yeah, that was deep. What
Yeah,
you
I
were
don't know. It's
talking.
not going to come back. Oh, the frequency of telepathy and connections.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. Okay. So it makes sense to me that we've reached a point where when we, in full human consciousness, state things, declare things, command things, that instant manifestation thing is very much within our reach. That's how I feel. Like we can't we can't take time off. We can't discount the value of the human perspective with a new consciousness, with the proper reflection of everything that it has experienced, and turning that from a weakness to a strength. Something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what we're reading, kind of like the reflection, right? We're feeling and having that compassion because many times we've been down on ourselves and we've gone through the whole loop of the story and everything else. This time we're able to have review, and I know that some of us are going with like random things that are popping in every so often and sitting with it, and it's viewed automatically in in place with peace and compassion. It's not, definitely wherever those practices are for, everybody's going to have their own experiences, because some might be good, some might be easy, some are rough, but still meeting themselves with that internal reflection and understanding and being open to, what is this bringing me? How does this reflect to me? As well as really pulling away from the thing that repeating the wisdom. And that's one of the biggest things from my understanding, help move through my processing of trauma has been, let me keep the wisdom this so I may not repeat, and also come out with more awareness, and also allow spontaneity
to create without a series of this is how it has to be. Having that allowance of the flow and not being attached to anything. It's set persona, perception. I think that's as humans,
Your
because
frequency's breaking up
we
again.
in manifestation.
You get to rolling. I mean, it happens. We've seen 2 instances. You get to rolling, and I mean, it's incredible. It's pure intel, real time, and your frequency. But it's always been this way. That's why you're Delia from outer space. So let me ask you this: what was your 2022 like on a personal level? Like, what was it like? Because 2023 is a subject all beyond itself. But 2022, what was that like for you?
Oh goodness, it was initiation, and I don't know, it was really miraculous and really, really moving forward, like really following that heart flow. But I feel it like initiations, and every moment that I pull through, I can see more of the greatest potential for humanity. And it was really in a personal level for myself. You know, I can see tremendous growth overall that I've been a part of, and what I've been able to hold and stand for myself and as well as for others. You know, in a collective level, I felt it was also initiations for all humanity, because we are really coming down the womb space, basically. We're in that birth canal, on whatever stage of that is, to come through. That's my whole experience, even towards the end, was basically that.
That thing about the womb. Let me grab my phone. My friend sent me something like an hour ago. A poem they wrote like 30 years ago. Hang on.
Well, I think that's awesome. I will stick with that. I'm sure it'll be nice. That is something that I see that is connecting to a lot of the womb. A lot of people have been doing work even before then with it these past couple of months. So I find it that's very appropriate for the womb to be coming up again, and seeing how the beauty of architecture is in the portal, not only in every man, woman, feminine or masculine. We have that creative light body as well, and we're learning to how to work with the opposite end of our spectrum in a frequency, and really, really understanding what that is. Right now, we're also exploring the womb, and I'm sure like the step and the rod are definitely going to be coming in more and more into our field as things progress.
Yeah. So this is a line from the poem that she wrote 30 years ago, or yeah, 30 years ago. A step into the depths of truth, the end of what to choose. The rivers carry the first and last into the water's womb. And I was like, what? Because there's that whole unknown. You don't know. We don't know. Could be malevolent ETs come in. It's been a big joke on us, and we're all going to be cattle. It could be so many things, but the one thing that we would serve ourselves best, in my opinion, and that's where I'm at, because I feel like I got nothing to lose. I'm not getting any younger. The world's not changing fast enough. So if everything is me, I'm going to basically direct it all where I want to go, if it's possible. I may be a fool.
No, I totally get that in the energy of what you're speaking in. 'Cause I feel that's some spaces that at least a few of us have been touching. And also learning and discerning how and how we create. Because if thoughts become things, our inner reality, and how we bring things into our field, essentially, that is also part of what we're touching into, like how much we are our own magnetic spheres. We are our own suns. We have our own gravitational pull. We have our own earth systems within us. And what do we have in our field? And what are we attracting? So if we're stepping into the vibration of how I want to create and want to do it, and I'm so for it, those people out there are definitely out there. We're going to be able to connect and create this, whatever we're wanting to create, collaboration.
Yeah.
And really seeing community in the actual thing. Because I know that we have connections here online, and it's been amazing to have connections all over the world.
Yeah.
And they carry big influence that whenever they come and share in a space like this, they're sharing their energetic code that they're holding down in their little portion of the world as an actual person, node, whatever you want to call themselves. Feel, so like needle points overall on planet Earth. And with our internal guidance, it's going to continue guiding us. And I know that there's a lot of families and friends. To me, families and friends are my soul community. So I know that they're definitely going to be traveling and moving around, and it's amazing to hear and be a part of that frequency of what they're doing. And how I see them aligning with what it's out there. I think it's going to definitely also show others too, and continue sharing that code, that others are going to continue turning around and carrying conversations, as well as conscience, really truly connected gatherings around them.
Yeah.
Really, really bring in the physical.
Yeah. Well, I think it's happening virtually and more and more in the physical. But I mean, overall, it feels like, and there's nothing working against it but programming or ego, but it feels like there is a giant collaboration in everyone's dreams. And I know it sounds like some, pipe dream. Everyone's dreams are converging, but it's true. As much as we can pursue it, as much as we can follow that, without agenda and without, the old patterns and programs. But yeah, I think some of the adjustment is to chill and allow it. And it's weird because the way it's unraveling or unfolding, it's both. Unraveling and unfolding at the same time. It's like being in dimension, but it's happening more and more and more, synchronicities and, etc. and something out of nowhere.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's happening in the physicality, online, and even in our dream space. I know that sometimes I'm having experiences where I'm connecting to soul family and we're having exchanges. I go into other spaces where I'm definitely having more community building. How does that look like? And it really is, how do you tune in with the coherence into a group dynamic, and moving with other things that we don't really quite talk about a lot of that verbally, to be more transparent. I think it feels like we're definitely touching in spaces, and I don't know what that means, but I know that I'm going to continue feeling into that space more in writing, because people have, like you said, there's manifestations. You want to create something, right? within that spark, something comes into the field. There will be others with those energetic frequencies and resources. May it be skills, because we always have to think of resources of money, but we're now thinking resources as creativity. And what can they do? What are they open to, willing to understand and learn? Somebody doesn't know how to do something. We're going to be able to be, hey, I know this. Let me share this with you. And those type of skills. And not allowing, well, depending on people, projections and implementations and modalities.
I think, yeah.
Right? We're not
Well,
not to fall into those things. Be open.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a certain intelligence, if you will. Like, I guess you could call it embodiment of multidimensionality, but I think there's a certain level of intelligence that is occurring. And even in the linear sense, it doesn't matter if it's, it's one person gets it now, a certain part of it, because it's made up of infinite parts, right? Or somebody gets it 6 months later. It's happening. And it has to do with that whole weird telepathy, intuition, like we're knowing things. And it's altering things very quickly. And I think we're adapting pretty well. And there is a certain clarity that comes with it, but it's very foreign to all the patterns we had in the past. So, I think in my opinion, we're creating new code, universal code. And the only way to do it is to be boots on the ground. And it seems that the more or when we express ourselves, especially where two or more gather, but certainly even in solitude with the universe, the more we express ourselves, which is really a greater knowing of ourselves and not just what we are, but our potential, the more powerful this whole grid gets lit up. So we don't even have to talk about it. But I just feel there's a third energy, as people might say in the Trinity, a third energy that's working with us, and it's kind of happening anyway. We can determine how long we surf the wave, maybe something like that. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah. No, I can totally feel it, because I can feel when you're talking the masculine, the feminine, and that third energy of the universal frequency coming between. That is essentially the merging of those connections, because we always think of it like the Visca Pisces, but it's always, the universe has always been with us. And it's connecting that into also a Trinity connection with the universal consciousness within the self. And we're definitely going to be spaces. And I think that's what it is. It's just we're coming and sharing tools with one another, but we're also making sure that we have the right to determine what feels good, what is right for us, and as well as self-sourcing.
Yeah. And to me, the whole thing is about growth and change, and not being afraid of change, and not looking at things that don't momentarily resonate with you as something you'll never see again, but actually making do with what you have. And so, having said that, we have to change the tempo of this show, at least in certain episodes, and bring in music or maybe even some kind of visuals or whatever the case is. So let's take that whole commentary you just had and capture it, especially the telepathy, the intuition thing, where we just know things. We're knowing this, and we're starting to know that each other knows it. It's beautiful, because only the things that are real remain, right? All right, boom. Hang on. You're going to have to come up with something. Don't worry. Ty's going to come in with he'll come in with the guitar. Yeah.
Oh.
Let's see where it goes. Yeah, the more you express yourself. Delia, Flores.
Yeah, of course.
It's good medicine.
Yeah, it is like bringing in the flow and allowing the creativity to pour through. It's like feeling that beat, those,
It's like
and
the
allowing
down.
that moment.
Damn, sorry. It's like the download comes with the embodiment or something like that. It comes from the body. Go ahead. You cut out. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you roll.
Here we go. That's basically what it's coming into. There's a new flow. There's a creativity to come in from within. Feeling in. Taking that process, contemplation. Feeling in our own inner system. Speaking to our body. Really understanding our emotion, discerning where it's coming from. Is it I? It's really me? Is that ego? But that's ego, it's me. Flipping turn of conversation. And then understanding the outside influences. The sensitivity and working with the inner frequency of ourselves. Fine-tuning, making sure that whatever we're picking up is only us. Understanding also our energetic and frequency. Do I have to read every person that comes in front of me? No. I wouldn't want them to do that to me. Taking responsibility for actions I know I could do in the past. Now that I have more understanding, being responsible with my energy, what I say, how I say it, what I'm expressing, and allowing the emotion to come through as it wants to. And understanding that people's perceptions of me don't matter. And I can just love it simply with heart. Have a divergent mind in a divergent place, and by that I mean able to see multiple facets come into play. The multi-dimensional light within us, I mentioned that, non-linear, outside of time. We're understanding those perspectives and attaching stories, and that really comes down to the frequency and flow.
I could have engineered that better.
Yeah, music a lot.
I could have engineered it better. I could have brought the tone down a little bit. I didn't catch it till the very end. I know. I don't know. It's just like, come play, you know. It's like, hey, what can you do? You know. I keep thinking it's. I think we have all these identity deaths. And it's all got to do with this weird pain. The pain of change. And I think we think when we change, we can't take anything with us. But that's not the way this works. Oneness is oneness. So, we get to do it together. Yeah. I like Ty's music. It's funky, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I really love that one that you guys did. That was 6 hours, nothing but musical. Oh my God, it's one of my favorites. So I enjoy that one that you did. The 0 Point music and everything had an amazing journey.
He's amazing.
Really
He's amazing. He's a wizard. And so, we're two more gathered, and you start throwing other things into it.
Well, he actually has inspired me a lot in what he does.
Yeah.
He has, especially being there at Soulogy Fest and I know that I kind of flow more when there's beat and thought, and sometimes I don't really quite, catch myself when I do it, but I know that it happens when I'm in flow. So I had asked him, hey, to get me going, I just need real good music, because anything that I've ever I've always had music on me, with me, and alongside me. It's been part of my process in becoming really, really working myself. I have a background where I had anxiety and panic attacks, would not travel further away from 3 miles at a distance from my home back home. So music was really calming because I would get anxiety attacks in public transportation.
So okay,
so really,
I don't think the people know what you're talking about, so I'm going to show them what it is. Hang on.
Okay. Special thanks to all the vendors today. Thank you.
It's been quite lovely, expensive, and the entire time trying to get here, it's been an entire journey of itself. Since time got announced that it was going to be a lot earlier, I knew that we stepped into another timeline jump that was moving forward. And how the time is lining up, the energies, everybody's feeling it, the amplifications, the beautiful conversations that are going on at the campsite. Anyone that has been communicating, talking, have been sharing and feeling the same information that we all experienced along the way. From car trouble, from things falling apart, to making you feel like maybe this is not a possibility, but one thing after another, following the heart, everything's just lined up for everybody. Everybody that's meant to be here and also online, watching, using your highest discernment of everything that is shared. And once again, many conversations bring up that same facet of many people have different lenses. One truth does not mean that that is your truth. It's just another perspective. And create contemplation from reaction, action, response, pause that is created. Now, what Hania mentioned about this activation that she got as a download is exactly what the Inner Earth with Morgan Lee and Todd Medina have been doing for the very first time. And before we left to fully come into this space, I shared with her that that is the vision that I saw. And she shared that she's seen this. Because energetically, it's been already being seated there, just tapping into that frequency. But I shared with her that in the physicality, I can really feel it, see it, with the people, all the people that are sharing in this code, online, timelessness, away from space, time capping, data capping, is in the heart, that it is connecting it, and in that moment, we're creating the same energy as we've been using with the octahedron. That connection, what she mentioned, that's what we experience every single day. And we all have different languages and many things that we feel. Sometimes it's colors, shapes. And after all, there is just so much that's coming alive in our hearts. And even when we're sharing, even when I'm shaking, feeling the energy coming from the very earth, the flowing, the connections, and all the beautiful things that come about, there's many people that send energy on the back end to make sure that this also turned out smooth to the highest of all. And we continue giving gratitude for everybody showing up every single day. I know there's many activations happening and integrations. And like somebody shared, they had a blow up one day, in the morning to wake up to a glow up. They're realizing that they're here and in their heart and allowing a space in their heart to expand. And in those moments, that's all that matters. And we're having conversations, community building. What does it look like? What have you been getting? We're sharing that code. The many travels that many people are having, all the way to the portal, time condensed moments that we all experience when we're traveling here. I was on a call with the New Earth grid. I got told to drive. I drove while I listened and tuned in. Next thing I know, it's 3 hours into my destination. I have no idea what happened in time. And then again, we experienced something opposite of it when we were getting here near New Mexico, when everything just suddenly slowed down, where 8 minutes felt like 2 hours. And we continued driving, looking at all the signs in the sky, star family, the angelics, the dragons. In every stop that we went through, everything that we saw the beautiful alignment, all the connections, all the activations, even light language in the sky. And it's been beautiful all the way to the very beginning when we met up and where we made camp. We didn't know what was the situation. We just showed up and say, well, how can I help you? What can we do? We helped set up. Then afterwards, trying to figure out where we're gonna stay. There's so many out there of you that came and helped us, and we're loving where we're at, enjoying the stars every night. It's a little pod, it's a little soul community. And I'm very grateful for everybody in that share code that's been happening in each and every conversation. Definitely is one of the biggest expansions that we can give ourselves. And as well as wherever we are at, sharing the code and the frequency, the gratitude in our hearts, that we come into a space of discernment within our hearts and our body. Like I said, somebody did mention to me, one perspective does not fit yours. So discernment, once again, is the highest thing for our hearts. We all work in different layers, but one thing we know, and we want to continue keeping in our integrity and in our hearts. And be willing to meet ourselves to shed away old belief systems, to shatter those. What we used to think then, did it capped us in the past? So we're moving without limitation and learning with discerning heart. One of the biggest things that they've mentioned, that is the team spirit, that is I, wording and connections, the use of the power of the word. Even when I drove here, I had to use my car. I used to nickname Guzzly, therefore it used a lot more gas. So then I finally got it, working on a code that said seeds of intention, how words are powerful. I realized, duh. So now her name is Rovi. And while I was driving, I only had to fill up twice in a 4-wheel drive with big ass tank. That's kind of impossible, driving more than 400 miles. Depending on the speed. Then again, time bent somehow. I'm very grateful for everybody and all the vendors and everybody who's been connecting, sharing your heart, saying hello, and even all the people that are out there that we keep seeing passing by. To see them with open compassion, knowing that they're getting a little dose of the heart, just being here. And anyone that has and comes into this place, which I found out that is an amazing thing, the owners of this property and the big hearts that they have for even the people that work with them. We saw a little bit of the conscious community, possibly glimpses that it might be evolving as we continue moving forward with the programs and distortions that's been there in the past. I'm sure there's many people getting downloads, and little by little, we're seeing all the little puzzle pieces coming in together. The soul pods are coming online, and in the heart, when we communicate, we amplify one another. And we also have compassion, showing, having beautiful conversations with openness and being raw. The vulnerability and holding space. And also being firm with them because you love them. To let them know to stop, breathe, to get out of the story, and contemplate for where they're at. It's ever evolving, and we'll see where everything takes us. So I'm very grateful for everybody that showed up. So I'm just gonna tuar ma'atu son tu ushuana ta to son tu al aro o ate to swa ea. Yeno shuatan do son tu a sua ea. There's just so much gratitude in the heart. Thank you so much.
Man, that was dope. That was some dope. And I didn't even know, because I put stuff together every day and I don't get to listen to everything. There's only so much of me to go around. So I saw it and I listened to the very first part and I thought, okay, I'll play this and listen to it, because I didn't remember it, because I think I watched everything one time. So as it went on, I realized it was gold. I was like, okay, I'm going to leave this on the main list. I have a main list here, like 40 different videos. Yeah, that was very cool. That was awesome. And the reason that I thought about it is because of the relevance of the music. Now, you can't always get it right, but that music, I've only been exposed to this kind of thing for like 6 months or 7 months with Ty, but yeah, there's something about the give and take, or like where he knows where you're going, or the other party. I mean, it speaks energetically to our lives. And to what you were talking about earlier, this whole intuition, telepathy reality we're beginning to acknowledge in each other very soon, or now, or whatever. But it's like when I do stuff with Ty, and I go back and look at it, it's like, oh, he knew where I was going. But then again, it's like the chicken and the egg. So I guess that's the creation, or the perfect Taurus energy pattern. I don't know. Anyway.
It feels as you're able to kind of bounce with the energy of what it feels in your senses. Like I said, music, it's always been a part of my life. So it can evoke emotion, or you can let yourself drown in the emotion of the music. And what better way to actually use that space to feel and allow that open flow to come through. Because I never plan these things. I don't never know what's going to come out of my mouth. So sometimes I'm like, shit, did I cuss so much that day?
Let's see.
And it, it's really a wonderful place to actually be as well, to just allow that flow. Because I know that I do daily practice for integrative connection to myself. And I want to always internally connect to myself. I'm big with this self-sourcing of self, and know how to move with myself intuitively, and continue having moments where I'm okay to be open, and sometimes be like, okay, is this projection? Yes, one of those biggest things that I always ask, because being mindful with your energy and manifestations, also being mindful with what we're putting out now. It's that responsibility that we're taking accountability for ourselves and our actions in a whole other level. But yeah, it's a man, I was so nervous and I kind of went with it, but my body, once I started going with it, it was shaking so bad. The land itself there was interesting. There was every single night, it was something that was happening in a deeper level every single night. And I know Jana had offered a place for us, and even if it possibly be a rain. And I had spoken to Bronte, and we were discussing something, and we were like, I don't know about you, but I feel very, very guided to be on the land. Like something is, like I need to be on the land. And we were discussing, and we were like, great, because I have that same feeling. So there was this really, really understanding within us, because even driving over there, it was like an entire, like, really interesting initiation, and also deep spaces of session. Like I told her at one point when we switched time frames so she can drive, I feels like I know you forever. This is just like another day.
I
And
think there
we
was a
had
lot
just
of that.
met.
I think there was a lot of
Yeah,
that.
that,
I saw it etherically, and everyone there's old soul. They were. It was a special event. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, specifically for me, because I ended up going 16 hours drive on one go, and
On a
I
wing.
only met.
On a wing and a prayer. On a wing and a prayer.
Well,
Um,
it. I only met somebody else also on the first Zoology Fest that took oh wait, names are just skipping away back in the East Coast. Um, and me and him were discussing it because I had done the 10 hours on my own, and it could have taken 12 from with depending traffic. There was definitely some closures and freeway stuff. And we were discussing, and she says, yeah, when you're driving and you're in that state, you're just on the go. There's like absolutely
it's like your higher self comes in.
yeah. But then the experiences that we had, there's a ton of stuff on the. I mean, I think this is like one of the first times that I'm actually even talking in a deeper level of that, like, yeah, and this happened, and then this happened, but really taking a step back to really feel like, wow, the entire time driving was breathing, feeling through and moving our energy through that space. And you can really feel the energy of the ancestors. You can really feel everything that was going through and the underlayers. And it was really interesting because even though I was there, I know that a lot of people saw me walking a lot up and down. And it was intuitively, everybody was moving in their own senses, doing their connection in their own inner practice within themselves.
Right.
And it was just like intuitively everybody was weaving in and out. And it was amazing. I know that there was a couple of people I wasn't able to have conversations with, but it seemed that the same energetic frequencies we kept moving with along one another. It's like bouncing energy, at least in my perspective. That's what I was sensing and feeling, and resonance and everything else. Because I know there's a couple of times where you have higher, when you resonate with something or you don't resonate with something, you don't say, hey, I disagree with you. You just get pulled to energy where you're called to, and then you continue on, and there is absolutely no judgment while other people might have different perspectives. And it was beautiful to actually even have conversations about thought processes and everything else, because we're coming away from old structures.
That's right. I mean, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Let's restate it. I mean, that's a really good point. We think that the only thing we can produce or create can be done by methods that we've experienced or had privy to, and that we can only gauge the results by the methods of appraisal that we've experienced. But it's a whole different thing. There's, like, if you take the Soulogy Fest, because that's what we're talking about, even the first one, people that went there, and I'm sure there's many, many other events and occurrences that happen that are similar, but you cannot deny the number of people that have had not just something of a huge impression upon themselves, and then knowingly they participate in something impressionable upon, say, the earth or the universe. But you can't discount why we're all here. And what I mean by that is all the crazy people hang out here. You can't discount this level of personal introspection and regression of lives, and so many things that we all represent together, and also the merging and the sharing of code beyond the human comprehension and beyond the human desire, the strictly human desire. What I mean by that is like the ego. We come together we get what we need. Just like you said at the Soulogy Fest, you ran across some people here and there where you couldn't talk to them. But in the flow of everything, you kept kind of running into them. It was no big deal, right? It's like begets like in the moment. Even in an environment like that, you still have disparity and universal representation.
Yeah, there's that beauty of the co-creation that happened there. So it was really interesting as well, with everybody was having their moments to integrate. There was one time, I know how long it went in the time that we were there. There was one time where we all turned around and looked at each other and said, it feels like we've been here for an entire month.
Yeah, I was only there for one day, and it felt like about a month. But what are we going to do now? What are we going to do now? And what I mean by that is individually or two or more gathers, Soulogies of the world, whatever the case is, what are we going to do? I mean, something's definitely changed, I would say, somewhere between end of November and December. I don't know. That's not my thing. But what are we going to do now? It's apparent that everything that has any measure of duality within its construct is not going with us. Doesn't mean we're not going with each other. Doesn't mean some things might look the same, but what are we going to do now? I think we've spent 10 years talking about waking up, and that 10 years ended on 12/21. That means something. We've learned one thing. Numbers mean something. Celestial body formations mean something. Everything, you know what I mean? And the cycles. Like, what are we going to do?
Yeah, it adds into the energy of what's there. I mean, it really adds into the layers of the energy, and it lends its energy there. And right at this moment, it's one of those things that has been coming up because I have a lot of introspection and kind of restructuring of certain expressions that I create or I'm able to really flow with. A lot of it has been, let me just sit with this. I don't know how I'm going to navigate this, but I'm going to give it a try. And we're exploring new spaces with creativity. It's whatever we're at in this birthing process. There's people that are gestating, there's never a one set path for anybody, but we're learning overall in the small moments to take it day by day. Like I mentioned to you, I don't know what's been going on because I can only do what's in front of me.
Sometimes I can't even do that. Look him up. I cut myself.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because I
cut myself. I haven't cut myself like in 5 years, man. Like, and I didn't just cut myself. I cut it twice. I went.
Oh, the double.
There's always the human condition. As my friend Earl says, there's always the human condition. My beloved friend.
Yeah. So there's, for me, when I work, and I have to balance work life with the multidimensional self, I'm at work and I'm having episodes. And I'm thankful for workshops and the works that I've been doing that help me kind of have a secure line to kind of pull through. Mm-hmm. And neutral become neutral, and refocus. And he says, can I get back to this later if I need to? And sometimes it's one of those things that I can't have any control over. I'm answering the phone and suddenly I'm getting vertigo because I'm feeling the intense energy and I'm holding on to the desk, making sure I don't fall while talking, having eye contact with the client. Like, that's something normal.
That happens to me. I thought it was menopause. Hey, we're gonna go out with this Ty's music behind us. It's like a few minutes of it. My thoughts are, what are we going to do? And to your point and everybody's point, I think everybody can agree now that you can't plan the way we used to. But and I'm saying this to myself. I'm not saying this like as a challenge more like, okay, what are you going to do with all this? What are you going to do now? And I think we're carving that out. And I know it sounds simplistic and elemental every day. Like we're actually more present moment by moment. We're aware. Doesn't mean we're like walking down this straight, perfect path, but we're definitely aware of where our emotions are and emotions. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot less force in the world, even from, you know, the institutions of the illusion.
Yeah, I think we're navigating that part with the our perceptional lenses. Person is their own version of the world. And the more that we all gather in coherence and really, really build that energy bubble of allowing to create with more creativity and exploration, there's definitely going to be that energy of support to really allow that to be created. Really trusting our voice to allow things to just come out to play. And also, and that we're going to go and hang hard with some portions in the waves, and as well as some are just going to be cruising and flowing. So we're just going to go with the flow. There's no resistance.
Go with the flow. People say go with the
When we meet
flow. Yeah, but like you walk up to the river and it's flowing like, 100 miles an hour. It ain't no going with the flow. You just got to jump in and hope to hell that you're not going to kill yourself. Yeah. Yeah, but with each little death we go through, it makes it something is occurring. There's something going on, like with our emotional, like the energy that our emotions generate, our superpower. There's something about that, like chemically, like biologically, like, I don't know.
Well,
I'm hearing people.
You're here with the jumping in the water, right? And what if in our energy we create this, hey, it's okay, rafts. What do I need? How do I need to be prepared? And we come through our energy and bring out a water raft. Are we becoming prepared?
A water raft?
Water raft. Rafting.
I thought you said a rat. That was one of the last things I had to bring into equilibrium. Like you have these archetypes, and one of mine was rats. And but I did it in 2018. I had a basement that I was renting in Georgia, and it was full of rats. And I actually had to energetically meet them in the field, and this whole thing happened. It was quite amazing. So, what?
For interacting with the energy and consciously. That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it was a whole initiation, just like all the stuff we go through. It was just the way I went through that one. It was pretty wild. Well, it was good seeing you. I appreciate everything that you do and everything that you bring to Soulogy. Even though you pronounce it Soulogy, but I love it when you do. Half the people do it Soulogy and half of it's Soulogy. Hell, when I heard it, I said Soulogy, and I kept hearing, no, it's Soulogy. I was like, no, it's not. It's Soulogy. I've actually had discussions with people like that, too, over the years. Well, Delia, you keep doing what you're doing, and I'll see you when I see you. It's good seeing you.
All right.
I don't see too many people unless it's on this show. Yeah. All right. Take care.
Love.